I'm Dana, and I recently made a video about overestimating autistic capabilities and what we can actually do and how we actually function as people. I'll link it here because there's a whole lot to it. But I got quite a few comments on that video talking about, especially like a few bits that I said and the way that people took the video, about how just confusing it is a lot of the time to be autistic, and how as autistic people, a lot of us are just confused all the time. And it prompted a lot of thinking for me, so it's something that I want to make a video about because I think it's a really fucking good point. First of all, this isn't me being like, I got these mean comments, these were the comments that I want from videos, when I'm like, I hope we can have a discussion about this. That's what I want, that's what it prompts for me. It makes me think about things, and then I have further thoughts, and I'm so this is direct viewer interaction, really. It's the more followers I get, the more I'm like, I need to be real and genuine, and then I'm like, I was being, if I just don't change anything, then I still am. So yeah, that's what I want to get into today. As always, my little disclaimer before we start is that all of this is just my thoughts and my opinion and my experience. I'm not in any way trained to talk about autism or any sort of medical thing. I'm not in any way trained to talk about life or anything else. I just talk about my own life and myself and little old me. If other people relate and find something useful in it, then that's awesome, but I'm not educating someone. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not someone that you should realistically listen to, if you can get a little something out of what I say, that's really, really cool, because I am making videos and hoping to have this as some degree of a career, but I don't know shit. Don't put your heart and soul into me. So it triggered a lot of thoughts for me, these types of comments, because I realised exactly how true it is. I think a lot of the time I don't see things as me being confused or me not grasping the situation. I very much see it as I don't get it. I just don't get it, and that's fine. I just don't get it. And that's the thing, is I hadn't thought it through to get to the point where it's it's not just that I don't quite grasp it, it's not that I'm a little bit out of the loop. I'm genuinely confused by a large majority of things that happen to me, that happen around me, that I'm a part of, even my own things and my own behaviour and my own just general sense of being confuses me at times. And it is definitely one of the things that I think a lot of non-autistic people, or at least see, sometimes it's definitely non-autistic people, and other times I think it's just people who aren't neurodivergent, and a lot of other people with various neurodivergencies will understand it. But I think that I do kind of feel it is one of the things that is kind of just autistic people are going to fully understand, and for people with other neurodivergencies it'll be caused and prompted and a symptom of other things. But it really prompted me to think about just how persistent it is in so many different areas of my life, because I feel it's quite obvious that as autistic people, one of the main diagnosable traits of autism is the social skills and the social aspect of things. So if we're missing out on a whole bunch of I'm sorry, I don't know what happened then, but if we're missing out on a whole bunch of social cues and body language and all of the things that other people are picking up in social interactions, obviously it's going to leave us confused. Every social interaction that I have confuses me in some way. And I've also gotten a lot of comments regarding that, because it's something I talk about, saying that I just overthink it. But it's one of those things where I'm overthinking it because I'm so confused by it, and it feels if I just finally understand one thing about human nature and how society works and how people interact with each other, there's just one thing that I need to grab hold of and understand, and then I'll be okay. Then I won't be confused anymore. Then it'll all click into place and I'll get it. But I haven't found that one thing, so I keep looking for it and keep looking for it. And I know that's not technically not overthinking, but I also don't think it's overthinking in the way that people think it is, where I'm looking back over my own behaviour and building it up to be something that it isn't until I'm really anxious and embarrassed and cringing at myself. It's not so much that, but it is the more that I look back on social interactions and try to read what was happening and try to be less confused about it all. I see the things that I missed sometimes, not every time, or I see things that I thought I was reacting to, I thought that I'd picked up on a social cue, I thought that I'd picked up on this thing, and I've reacted to it, and looking back, it wasn't there. I've been so desperate to pick up on something that I've picked up on something that I've created myself, or something that wasn't intended, and it leads to most of my social interactions are all somewhat awkward and confusing, and a lot of me laughing things off and people clearly not understanding my humour or what I mean by things. And it's so largely that I am just confused. Sorry, I just need to interrupt a quick moment while I'm editing, because I didn't get around to talking about how I feel I sometimes just confuse myself, and I should have, so I'm not going to get super into detail because I feel y'all will get it, but I wanted to talk about how when I was like very, very heavily masking and unaware of masking and unaware of being autistic and all that kind of thing. Because like being aware of masking really cleared a lot of things up for me. But I would just, you know, like I would be with friends, I would be with people that I thought I was like safe with and that I trusted and everything. And yet I would still so often just react in ways and do things and say things that like I straight up did not mean, did not think, did not like, you know, like I just was so confused by my own behaviour when I was with people, because I just became this completely different person. I was so confused by it, and I was like, who the fuck is she? Like, who am I? Like, what is going on with me? Because so many of the ways that I reacted to people and spoke to people and just did things weren't ways I wanted to act. They weren't ways that felt like ways that I would react to things that I would say and so on. And that was the height of confusion for me for many, many years, and like for especially like the start of my 20s. And it was one of the big things that I like confused me to no end until I found out I was autistic and started looking into masking and was like, oh, it's that. But like I say, it definitely like permeates into more areas of my life than just during social interactions. They're just the ones that I, you know, think about over and over and over. I'm like, why did they react like that? Why did I say that? Why did this happen? And I just don't quite get it. But then it comes to just general life, like my everyday, normal, daily life isn't like most people's because I'm unemployed. I'm trying to make a go of this. You know, I have like my own projects that I work on and stuff, but I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't have a fucking 1 till 2, you know, like I don't have a day job. And so much of that is that when I have done work, when I have had jobs, everything confuses the shit out of me. It just confuses me. I don't know what they want from me. I don't know in what way I'm supposed to do things. You know, like even when I've received training, like I worked at Amazon for like 3 days and I got training there. But it feels like so many jobs, especially ones that I can actually access, things that aren't for people who are like trained in an area or whatever, you know, like very like blue collar service, like I just go for like normal fucking jobs because I'm not trained in anything. And it's especially those types of jobs where the system at large seems to think that a lot of it's common sense and a lot of it's stuff that you can just figure out. So they give you the health and safety and they tell you like, don't hit anyone in the head with a beam while you're walking around or whatever. They give you the health and safety and they're like the stuff that I consider to be very, very obvious. But when it comes to the stuff that I am confused by and the stuff that I don't understand and the stuff that I could do with being trained in, they seem to assume that's common sense and they just leave you to it. And I'm like, I'm just confused, you know? Like as much as I've put a lot of different spins on it and think about it differently for myself, I so often in every job situation I've had, 99% of my time in that place has been me being like, I don't get what I'm meant to do right now. I don't understand how you want me to do it. You know, like constantly just being like, I thought I'd done my job and now you're telling me that I'm not doing it right or I need to do it in this other way that still has the same end result. So I don't understand why you want it done in this different way. And I'm consistently just not only confused by the job and what I'm supposed to be doing, but by the people around me telling me I'm supposed to be doing it in this way. And, you know, like it's not the end of the world. I survive it every time. But I am confused as all hell the entire time. And like I say, I am unemployed, so my actual day-to-day life doesn't consist of that kind of thing currently. It will again at some point. Every like year or two I'm like, oh, I should actually get a job, and then I get a job and it lasts like 2 days. See, that's the thing, I often don't get a job because even just doing the interviews and stuff confuses me. I don't know what I'm supposed to tell them. I have no idea what I'm supposed to say. Every job interview that I've ever had, when it comes down to the like, and why do you want this job? I'm like, I need a job. I can do this. Like, I don't know what you're expecting from me. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. You know, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to wear. I've shown up to job interviews, like, really, really formal before because I assumed that was how you dressed for job interviews. And the other people in the waiting room were in, like, track pants and shit. Like, it's all confusing all the time. Even when I feel like I understand something like wearing nice clothes to a job interview, it turns out that I'm wrong and I'm just confused by it all over again. But you know, like for my actual day-to-day life, I mostly have to fill out paperwork. Like not every single day obviously, but like there's all sorts of stuff like with like just like council tax and being on universal credit and receiving PIP, like all the little things that happen and like the referrals that I'm going for and medical stuff. I'm currently looking into like, I need to move house, I need to rent a different place, so I'm having to look into all that kind of stuff. And reading paperwork and filling out paperwork and reading forms, all of that like admin, life admin, like secretarial type of stuff confuses me. And it's one of those things where, like, that's the best word that I've been able to, like, come up with for it since, like, the comments I've been getting and having the discussion online and everything, is that it confuses me because, like, I cannot process it. You know, as much as I read through and try to, like, take it slow and take my time and take a breath and read this sentence and think about what that means, and then read this next sentence and think about what that means, and then connect the two, and I just can't do it. It doesn't matter how slowly it doesn't matter how slowly I try to take it, or how much time I try to give myself, or just, you know, like, even just being kind to myself while going through it and being like, I'm not going to get mad, I'm not going to get frustrated, I'm just going to take my time. You know, I can read the entire bit of fucking paper that I need to read, doing it like that and being really careful and really, like, mindful about it and taking my time, and I'm still just confused. It still doesn't process. I still don't know what's going on, and I don't understand how everyone else seems to be able to just sort of, like, skim things and be like, yeah, I get it now. And another thing, this is the type of video where I'm just like, and another fucking thing, but it is also a case of, like, I've said a few times in various videos and to, like, people I know in real life, and all, like, I don't understand what people do when they're alone. Like, I know what I do when I'm alone. I hang out with my cat and watch movies. You know, like, I know what I do when I'm alone, but I, like, especially as a teenager, I spent a lot of time doing stuff I didn't really want to do, and just doing, like, random shit on my own because it felt like the stuff that I was supposed to do, and I was like, I assume that this is the stuff that everybody else does. Like, I don't really understand what people do as people, I suppose. And again, like, if I don't understand it, obviously it's something that confuses me, and it feels like that is the way with so many things, and I don't feel like it's just really discussed. And it is one of those things as well that I think maybe isn't discussed so much because it does sort of have, like, a vibe of, I want to say infantilization, but I don't feel like that's realistically the word that I'm looking for. You know, it makes me sound like I'm a fucking idiot, doesn't it? Like, it makes it sound like I'm really, really stupid. I just don't understand anything. I'm just confused by everything all the time. And obviously, like, I'm not the smartest cookie in the tin, but I'm not a complete and total idiot that doesn't understand anything at any given moment, you know? Like, there are things that I do get, but I'm also confused all the fucking time. All the time. And as stupid as it might make me sound, and as, like, stupid as it makes me feel a lot of the time, I feel like it is probably the way for a lot of autistic people. And I don't feel like it is that we're idiots or that we're stupid or that we just, like, are lacking anything, you know? I feel like it is very much just that we're living in a society that isn't made for us and doesn't cater to us, and that is confusing for us. And there's not really anything wrong in saying, like, well, I'm confused by the thing that's confusing for me. I feel like I should have more of a roundup for this and, like, here's how to stop being confused. But we do just, like, you know, live in a world where our brains are different to the vast majority and different to, like, what the world is designed for. So I think it just is common sense that we're all, and I keep saying all, like, obviously some autistic people aren't going to be confused. This is purely my perspective and from, like, a handful of comments that I got. But I do think it's probably true for a whole bunch of us. And I do think it's one of those things that you just sort of have to accept and deal with and learn to live with, honestly. Like, I feel really bad when I say that because, like, obviously there's lots of things that you can work on and you can improve, and you can, you know, like, if you really, really don't like something, eradicate from your life or, like, introduce into your life if it's something you want. Like, I do think there's lots and lots of ways in which autistic people can change and in which we can grow and which we can become better. But I do also think that there's a whole bunch of things that come with being autistic where it is, like, you've just got to learn to fucking deal with it, you know, whether that's just learning to ignore it, learning to get past it, learning what accommodations you can put into place to assist with it, whatever, like, that version of it is for you, go for it. But I do think there's some things that just can't really be changed or gotten rid of, you know. But that is that for this video. So if you liked this, if you would like to see more from me, I post on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. So if you wanted to subscribe and maybe like this video, that would be very, very cool. You can also follow me over on Instagram and over on TikTok, where I post fairly regularly sometimes. I post there sometimes, is the best way of saying that. If you would like to pay me for this stuff, because you can, that's the entire point of it, is that you can. You don't have to, there's no pressure. But if you would like to give me money, you can do so over on Patreon in order to receive my videos a little bit early. I won't lie, I had a good while where I was, like, really ahead on my videos and, like, every video was going up, like, a day early on my Patreon. At the minute, like, this video is going up in, like, 2.5 hours, like, on YouTube. So Patreon's gonna get it, like, half an hour early if they're lucky. I won't lie, it's not great. I am gonna get back on that groove. But for now, that's that. But you can become a Patreon member. It's a possibility for you. And you can also donate to me over on Ko-fi if you don't care about getting a video 7 seconds earlier than on YouTube. So yeah, there are options. All of that will be linked down below. And I can finally leave now. So whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And me and Otis will see you again in a couple of days.